Welcome to Blind Level Tech. I'm Jonathan Price.
I'm Evan Starnes.
And together, we're bringing you news, tech, and information about blind technologies.
Being blind doesn't mean you have to stop living.
We're going to show you just how possible it is to live the life you want.
This is what we do on Blind Level Tech. We just talk about failing technology and then we rip it apart.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Why not? Yeah, so I have this camera, and my big gripe with Sonoma is that, at least according to Elgato, they don't support the Sonoma operating platform. Like, I can plug in a standard like webcam and it'll work, but like third-party camera software does not work like Elgato. And so I'm a little frustrated because my camera on my phone is way nicer than any webcam that I've used. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to use my camera and just use the software. I can Wi-Fi over and I've got 1080p, 4K streaming quality, and it looks fantastic on my screen. Except now it won't allow me to do it on Safari or, any other platform. So a little irritated, but I'm good.
Yeah, I'm wondering how that's going to affect people that use like OBS and stuff like that. If it's going to break that kind of stuff too, because
that's what I'm going to look into. So as soon as we're done with this recording, I'm going to try to figure out what is going on, especially with things like OBS. And so maybe we'll contact Elgato and get some information from them. That'd be fun.
That'd be interesting.
And OBS, So Evan, how was your weekend?
It was a very chill weekend. My buddy and I hung out the entire weekend. I kind of looked at this, but I was like, man, am I too old for this? But nah, we didn't get out. I don't think we left the basement maybe a couple times to get food and go to my room and grab stuff. And then we pretty much stayed in the basement playing with Logic and coding. Nice. And we're going to try and we're trying to make a virtual Tamagotchi, like from the 90s. Because I used to have Tamagotchis. Those things were my favorite. I grew up with them. Okay. So I'm trying to do sound design for one.
Oh. How's that going?
It's not. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it sound sort of Tamagotchi-like using like ES2.
Right, yeah.
But there's so many different things to play around with that it's hard to get it to do simple things, like produce just a simple square wave. But
yeah. How
was your weekend, though?
Mine was pretty good. We had a big trunk or treat event where we had a little over 1,500 people trunk through the snow, and then come into we moved the event from outdoors because it was super snowy, and we moved it inside, and we still had 1,500 to 2,000 people. So it was amazing. And I did my little booth, table was set up with all my camping and hunting gear. So I had like a makeshift fire pit. It wasn't going, but I had my tent set up. I had coolers. I had my big old bowl of candy, and it was just so much fun. It was an amazing thing. And I'm in my basement right now, freezing my butt off. It is so cold here. If you guys are listening from anywhere other than Colorado right now, it is
17 degrees as I checked.
Oh, see, I have 14 degrees on mine.
Oh man!
So I'm cold. Yeah. So either way, regardless if it's 14 or 17, it's cold, and so I'm freezing. So as soon as this show is over, I'm turning my heat back on and getting some more coffee, and so it was a fantastic weekend. The kids look amazing, and Halloween. As of recording this, it's tomorrow. But if you're listening to this on Wednesday, Halloween was yesterday. So, enjoy the back and forth, if you will, if we get our days confused, because it's just going to be. Who knows what this is going to be? We're coming off a weekend, so in any case, man, I'm so excited to have Gary on. And Gary, I'm going to turn it over to you, but I have to ask first, what was your weekend like? I know you've been doing events all over the nation, so anything happened this weekend?
The most exciting thing that we did this weekend, we went to a school event for our son.
Nice.
Nothing, cool. Nothing big happening. It was just a get together and potluck. So
very cool. Very cool. Yeah, potlucks are always fun. it's always the questionable things that get put on the end of the table that I find are sometimes the most unique. So I appreciate a good potluck. Well,
Absolutely.
Gary, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and this amazing product. I'm not going to spoil it. I want you to talk all about it. And so then we'll just kind of jump into some questions.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Gar Bartos, and the company name and also our app name for iPhone is Echobatix. And we're focused on real-time text accessibility. So that means reading text out in the wild in real time without necessarily a Wi-Fi or cell connection. And I'll swing back to that. And I'll mention that how this started originally is I knew I wanted to develop one or more apps related to assistive tech and accessibility. And originally I was working on, and we'll get back to it someday, indoor navigation. And so we prototyped a little bit of that, wearable braille typing where you don't need a keyboard, head level hazard detection, all these things. But then surveys, discussions, talking to advisors, and then having the pandemic happen meant we focused on touchscreen accessibility. And so we also realized that this is going to reach a much broader group than perhaps some of the other things we looked at. So so we have this app, and we developed it, and it's got a couple features if you want me to go into it, or if you, I don't know if you guys want to
go for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Please do.
So right now, as of the current release, which is available in the App Store for iPhone, there are two main features. One is called Explore. So, and what it allows you to do is you hold your phone in your non-dominant hand, and you reach out with your dominant hand, and it just reads whatever's at your finger. And the idea is that this is the very first version of something that would allow someone to interact with, say, an appliance that has a touchpad, or a kiosk, or something else, some sort of flat touch screen that's, to anyone who is blind or print disabled, is effectively just a smooth piece of glass.
Right.
Which is has to be one of the in terms of accessibility, one of the worst designs of the past few decades. So they're putting them in cars. I mean, how does this make sense? Yeah. So clearly a lot of people are going to have problems with these things because they're not designed for everybody. So the idea is initially, and I realize in its current form, it's still some burden on someone's memory and so on. But if you move your finger around, you're going to read different words, and you say, oh, for instance, if your finger's under the word start, and it says start when your finger's underneath it, then you can move your finger up a little bit, press it, and there you are on the start button. So that's one mode, and you can use it to read really ink print anywhere. So it can be on I don't know, a bill, for example. It's not the feature intended for that. It's really meant to read just one or two words quickly. So that's explore mode. Then there's find mode, which is a couple things. One, it's a way of just asking the app to find a particular word. A curious example that came up is that someone we know in California wanted to know when a certain word appeared on screen when he was playing a game.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, who would have, except this guy, if Colton is listening to it. Hi, Colton. So if you want to find a word, like if you're looking for a specific button, then you can ask the app to find that button. And this is currently using speech commands. So we do both text-to-speech using voiceover and speech synthesis, but we also go in the other direction where we're going to take in speech and we try to figure out what someone's asking for. In this case, it just takes a command like find the word start, please, and it chops that down and figures out you're looking for the word start. Right. It does this sonar ping thing, and then when it finds the word, and by find the word I mean the word is in view and it's big enough for OCR to read it, then it has this sort of happy chime sound. And then optionally, and I have to say at this point, not super robustly, it will guide your hand to the word. That part's a little trickier because it has to do with the camera being autofocused, and it'll tend to autofocus on your hand. Anyways. Okay. So that's the other modes. And so there's Explorer, there's Find, there's another mode we're going to release this coming month. Yeah. And so we're trying to sort of, I don't know, not exactly a spoiler, but as a behind the scenes look. So not only did we want to release the first versions of these features, but we're also essentially sneaking in different technologies that we know we want to have. So OCR, hand detection, speech recognition, voiceover, and then for those who don't have voiceover turned on, so some people maybe low vision, or if they're dyslexic, they might just want speech synthesis. They don't use voiceover.
Sure.
And then there's always the secret geometry, math, and logic, and everything that ties it all together. So, so those are the features as they exist in the App Store right now.
Well, that's really cool. I've already been testing out the app because, and I've had it for a little over a week, and it's worked. It surprised me with how well it works because, for instance, we have a washing machine that is, I mean, it's got 2 buttons, power and start. The entire rest of the control panel, the dial is all print with, and the appropriate cycle light up, but the whole control panel with all the buttons is all just this big flat touch thing.
Yeah.
Now, the saving grace for that is it's got Wi-Fi, so I don't really need it. But if I was trying to find the Wi-Fi button initially, or if I didn't want to, if I didn't want to use the app because it can be a little flaky, this has made it possible. And the sound design of the app, because we are audio geeks here, is very subtle. And for those who are playing with the app, which when it detects, it'll look for your index finger. When it detects it, it makes a little ascending tone, like a little beep, and then it'll start reading what's under your finger. And then if it no longer detects your finger, it makes a different sound. And the find feature is really good. Like my use case, actually, I think I really would have enjoyed having this when my girlfriend and I got a new air fryer and we were trying to figure out where the Wi-Fi setup button was. And it was this big, long, flat touch panel. And I'm sure quite a lot of our listener base can agree, the touchscreen design, while prevalent and it looks modern and all that, it's a terrible accessibility design. So my first question here for you is, with all the new technologies out there, yes, this app is only this app is an iOS app. Is this reliant on any of the LiDAR technology, or will it work on, or does it just use the standard camera array?
We're just using the standard camera.
That's great.
There are a couple of reasons. One, that's what everyone has. So
exactly.
I mean, there are other apps, and it's great that they'll use LiDAR in the more expensive cameras. I don't have the more expensive camera, in part because I want to make sure I'm using a camera that's similar to what other people have. I have an iPhone 13 mini. I just like the smaller size. And so, my colleague Mia has an iPhone 11. And neither of us has LiDAR. We have no plans to use it. And I say this despite the fact that I spent 7 or 8 years working with 3D sensors. So I'm very familiar with what you can do with them, what the downsides are, the limitations, all these sorts of things. But, and this is a design principle of anything that we do is, it has to work for as many people as possible. So that means phones that people already have, not say, oh, you got to spend hundreds of extra dollars to get this sensor that otherwise doesn't have a lot of use. And like I said before, it should preferably work without Wi-Fi or cell connection because, that is what I would consider a downside to features. A lot of things, yeah. Especially if you have
a lot of them are online.
Yeah. And we'll take advantage in the future. We're not doing this right now, but in the future, there are going to be times we might want the app to download something, or maybe we can make certain read results by, having some sort of online OCR processing. But to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. People are using this typically indoors. You may not have, some people don't have Wi-Fi at home. Some people are not going to be at home. And it just makes sense for this to be a tool. It'd be like if someone's cane only worked on sunny days, or it only worked if there was Wi-Fi. That doesn't sound like a good cane design to me. And
no, not at all.
We want the app to be the same. I realize dogs are a little different. Dogs may be a little less inclined to do certain things on certain days, but any tool that's running on a phone, I think it should just work all the time. So
agreed. Especially if you're in like an airport, a lot of airports don't have good service, if any, or you're trying to use the crummy airport Wi-Fi and you need to use that touchscreen kiosk and they haven't implemented an accessibility feature, you're going to need to be able to read the screen. You know, I mean, I think that actually makes sense. That wasn't even something I'd considered, but I think that's I mean, it's awesome because it's OCR, so it should be able to work just on device itself.
Yes. Nowadays, and there is one we
absolutely.
did make a cutoff. So iOS 16 or later is required, which means that the oldest phone that we support currently is the iPhone 8.
That still goes back a few years.
That goes back a ways, yeah.
Like the fact that you guys support a phone from, what, 2016, 2017 now?
Something like
Goodness
that.
gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and you know, those sorts of phones will run a bit slower, and you may not get quite the snappy interactivity. But you know, if someone's really using their phone for accessibility anyway, we figure they'd probably have something from the past 5 years. So
You would hope. You would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, so this app isn't reliant on LiDAR. It'll work all the way back to the iPhone 8, like with the single 12 megapixel camera. So, you know, you don't really need the latest and greatest technology to use it. I think what would be interesting too is that a lot of devices with screens that are touchscreen do have things that change from time to time. So I was showing, for instance, I was looking at our stove, because our stove it has knobs for your burners, but like the oven, the timer, it's all flat panel, and you can't even feel any of the buttons. Yeah. And what I noticed is it was reading the buttons, but it was also reading like the time on the display. So I think it'd be really interesting once you start setting things, if it were able to pick up, oh wait, this is the screen, and then it'll start kind of just reading that in the background. Yeah,
that's so that is one of the trickier features, and it's good to hear that, because now this means that, oh hey, someone else is asking for that. So reading those displays tend to be, not always, they tend to be LCD displays that also use, or basically the older LED style block characters.
Yeah.
So those sometimes are a little harder to read. But the idea is, let's say someone's starting a cycle on their appliance for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. So they could use the app to press buttons, or maybe they just need help with 1 or 2 buttons and they find the rest of the way from memory. And then if we can see that, A, the countdown timer has started, B, we can read the time, then what we can do is we can sync with that. Like we could actually keep track in the app. It's not doing this, but it's one of the things that we've discussed doing. If we could sync with the timer, then we could even say, 30 seconds until this timer goes off, or so if someone goes in another room, or they're just, I don't know.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think it would.
Yeah, they could just leave the app going, and then it could immediately just pick that up, and there you go, timer.
Yeah, and it's one of these things we have to be a little careful about that, because so when you started the app, you'll notice you have to sort of get through like legal disclaimer and caveats and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
we realize, and like everyone we talked to in the blind visually impaired community said, they accept a certain amount of risk already. But we do want to be careful with timers, because, for example, like here at home, something happened, something was flaky with our microwave. My wife thought she'd entered 2 minutes, and it turned out to be 20 minutes.
Uh-oh.
And so like, I walked by after a couple of minutes, it's like, something burning, and it was rice that had been, first it was wet, then it was hot, then it was dry, and then it was burning. So we do have to be careful with that. A step that I didn't mention, we say someone intends to cook something for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, or 4 minutes, or set the dryer, whatever, then that's something we can queue off as well. So one, we can try to, this is several features all tied together, but
right.
If we focus on what is really important for our design in general, understanding what someone's intent is, what they want to do with the app, like a multi-step process, then we can parse that and say, you want to do this. We're going to help guide you to buttons. And on top of that, we're going to keep track of is the feedback okay? Did it actually do that? So if, let's say, the timer runs more than 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, we can have warnings and probably little annoyance things that someone will have to turn off to make sure that, we notified someone that this whatever it is, this cycle should have completed. That's the plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you were talking about adding some more smarts to this app where you'll be able to like pick up a bottle of something and point your phone at the bottle and it'll just read the label on the bottle immediately.
Yes. We
talked a little bit about that.
Sure. That's our read mode. That's actually coming in the next release.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, we're testing it now. So we're testing it on basically whatever fits in your hand. So, for instance, I've got our dog's treats on a little table. Oh, now he jumps up once he knows that I've got the jar in my hand. So he knows what the treats are. It's like an old soup.
You got to give him one now.
Yeah, I do actually, even though he's been getting plenty as we've been chatting. So I can hold it up in my hand, and the way the read feature works, keeping in mind that, we have at most two hands. So you're holding your phone in one hand, and you want to read something, say, in your other hand. So how do you trigger it? So the way you trigger it in the read mode is you go into read mode. It's just so there's explore. Read is in between explore and find now. So you go into read mode, and then you'll tap a button or activate a button using VoiceOver, and then there's a countdown timer. 3, 2, 1. It says 3, 2, 1 out loud. And then you've got enough time to either hold something in your hand or put your hand around text somewhere in the world that you want to read, and then it reads it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So hopefully the interaction, the interface are straightforward. We'll have training videos about this, but that was really the main motivator is, hey, I want to be able to read, is this shampoo or is this conditioner? Or is this tomatoes or beans or what have you? I'll mention it. It's reading. I don't know if I'm going to give this away. It's not like it's a big secret, but we're trying to read first the text people actually want to hear first. So it's not just reading top to bottom.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And so we're giving that a try. We'll see what the reactions are. And I'm going to say it's certainly not foolproof, but reasonable chunk of the time it will actually read the text you want first. And then you can, because it's going to announce whatever it reads, and then you can just stop it, either by, I think it's double tap on the screen for VoiceOver, and there's a button too that just, it's actually a record stop button. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I remember, very specifically, I've had loads of problems in the past trying to read like bags of something.
Yeah.
And it's usually bags that are the hardest to read. Like jars, jars have their own challenges, but usually I'd end up getting a whole load of the nutritional information and a bunch of other stuff. All I'm looking for is just the name of the product. So yeah, we'll definitely have to test this out. How about some of the other new feature? I know we're talking a lot about the future of this app, but I remember you were talking a while ago about adding location into this app and making it to the point where it has context specific. It knows where it is and basically contextually how to handle what it sees. Sure.
Yeah. So, if we allow the app to get a GPS location, then, and this is assuming someone can get a GPS location where they are. There's a different approach to figuring out where someone may be if they're not in a place where GPS is read. But let's assume for the moment that it is possible to get a GPS location. Then we can simply save information about an interface someone has used close to that GPS location. They, could give it a name. This is the plan. So, in your home, if you've got 4 or 5 or 6 devices like, air fryer, dryer, coffee machine, whatever, then it would know, hey, if you're at home or, if there's a chance for us to get the last known GPS coordinate that says, oh, I think you're at home or you're close to home, then it could present you with interfaces like, hey, we can present certain kinds of instructions or certain kinds of, contextual features based on things that are close to this location. Whereas if you're going to go to a grocery store, say, and it's a grocery store you've been to before, then we could save information relative to that GPS location.
Hey, I could finally use a self-checkout machine. I haven't been able to use those things for years. I don't like them, but it would make those accessible.
Yeah.
Because
for
right
sure.
now those things are all touchscreen.
Yeah, and they're
No, they're
oh
special.
boy, yeah. I really hate those things. But there's the checkout. There's sort of
There's
related
products
features.
everywhere, especially if you're at a store.
Yes, yeah. There's trying to find specific things if you want them. Some people may have really good memories for, it's in this aisle and I go down this far and it's on the right side and so on. Then another feature that we're probably going to release, I don't know if it's going to be this year, but we're talking about it and I'm starting to design it, is a feature that will help with grocery shopping and finding specific items.
That's the question I had, because
Yeah.
if I would love to, even though I'm sighted, going into a produce section and seeing like the difference between a cucumber and a zucchini, that would be pretty difficult to tell.
Yes.
It'd be awesome. And maybe you've mentioned this earlier, but the feature of being able just to point your camera at a particular piece of produce or an item and say, oh yeah, that's a cucumber, would be amazing.
Yeah. Our approach to that is, I'd say sort of the development path is, first, you hope that in the produce section, they've actually labeled the zucchinis and cucumbers.
Sure.
Big time.
Yeah. So that's a start. And most of it's, usually going to be machine printed. Sometimes it'll be, hand. But if we can do that at least and say, hey, you're in the cucumber section, then that's a start.
Right.
And especially if we know in advance someone's trying to find cucumbers and not find zucchinis.
Right.
So it's
Well, is there a way that you may be able to do it? Because I think Evan was talking about the LiDAR detection. If it was to see a photo, if you're just scanning your camera around the produce section, for example, I know we're in produce, but if you're scanning your camera around and it picks up, you be able to look at it and tap wherever your camera was pointing, and it would be able to detect what was in the photo.
right.
Instead of having to rely on the text, which I know you guys are all about the text,
Right.
is that something that would be an enhancement that you're looking into?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
So, and this is a case where, for grocery stores over time, I think we could get a machine learning model of reasonable sophistication in the app.
Yeah.
But the more generalized things, and especially if, I know Be My Eyes has been testing this sort of thing, where if you say, okay, I've got a photo and I just want to send it somewhere that's going to interpret this reasonably well. And it's like, oh, there's this, there's this, there's that. I mean, that's a complicated thing to do without, essentially one of these, massive systems, Chat GPT style thing. So being able to send out queries, I mean, there are a couple of pieces is, we need to make sure that, and this is where having the app as a subscription would make sense. Where you say, oh, if this is a subscription, then, we would, in this particular instance, cover a certain number of queries that would just be in the, included in the cost. And typically people would only have so many queries, I think, in a month. In which case you can say, hey, send this photo and tell me what's in here. And, you'd have maybe a couple seconds round trip time, I would think. So that's certainly possible. But we would, along with, identifying where something is by text, and frankly, having several different features. This is a big interest of mine, is having multiple ways of determining what something is.
Yeah.
If there's just a sea of orange in front of us, those are not zucchinis.
Right.
Or if they are, you might not want to eat them unless you're super
No,
adventurous.
Definitely not.
We're not cooking with orange zucchinis. That would be terrible.
Not going to tell anyone what to do, but that wouldn't be my first choice, eating an orange zucchini. But if there's text there, and if you're looking for a zucchini, which that in advance is already a big thing, and if maybe we have access to Wi-Fi or a cell connection, and you put all of these things together, then you're increasing the robustness of detection. So it's another thing I see a lot of companies doing, and it makes sense, is they're really building quite far out, let's say, into the water, using one technology. Like, we're going to, tell you what's in this image. And there's that's great. Oh, peanut butter's at the bottom left. That's great. Where? Guide me to Jif Crunchy or something like that.
Yes.
So there are multiple things that I think need to come together to make something robust. Because if someone is typically sighted, I'm mostly typically sighted, and they're really using multiple cues at any one time to find
Sure.
things. There are a few cases where phones can do things much faster than a sighted person.
Right.
And so this is where I'm hoping we can get into identifying things in drugstores.
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah. I can never
that
find
would
what
be
I
a
want.
huge help.
That would actually make me
tell me
want
more.
to shop. But I was
See?
going to say, because I don't personally go shopping because I would love the convenience of being able to just kind of walk through an aisle and immediately just boom, 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 see like exactly what's on the left or right side. I mean, we can feel, what's on the shelves and by texture. And I mean, as far as fruits, like discerning between zucchini, cucumber, tomato, apple,
Yeah.
it can get a little cumbersome because you have to feel them very tactilely, kind of squeeze it and see what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this would solve that problem very, very well. You actually had a great segue a few minutes ago, so I'd like to talk about actually getting the app. So how can
Yes.
folks find the app? How much does it cost? And what's it like to install the app on your Apple device?
Sure. So to find the app, it's in the App Store. Right now, the app is for iOS only. So it runs on iPhone, like we said, back to iPhone 8. It will
8
also
and
run
later.
on iPads, 8 and later, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so if you search for the name Echobatix,
With an X.
With an X at the end, ECHO as an echo, which I figure you sound guys would like that.
Yep.
And then Batix, BAT as in the flappy animal, IX. I just happen to really like bats. So
It's a cool name.
the company logo has a bat in it.
Nice.
And a good friend of mine who is an advisor is also really, really into bats. So it's just kind of how it came about. Anyways, Echobatix. It's also the, website. Our website, echobatix.com, has a link to lead you to the App Store, and we have various, social media. So currently, the app is a one-time price of $10. And we haven't settled exactly what the transition is going to be like to subscription, but basically, if you buy the app now for the one-time price, it's going to remain a one-time price. More stuff is just going to roll in over time.
Sure.
But we are going to switch over to a subscription model. That was the original intent. It's just there were some competitive things going on, and I, a day or two before I submitted the app for approval, I realized how much additional work it was really to get a subscription going. I was like, we don't have time for this. So, so right now it's a $10 fixed price. However, if someone hears this, if they're listening to this podcast, they want to try the app. Let's say the first listener, we might let a second one in, who emails echobatix@gmail.com. So that's ECHOBATIX. At gmail.com. Yes. Echobatix@gmail.com. I will send them a promo code and they can have the app for free.
And let's make sure that we put them, if you're going to email them, make sure you put in the subject line promo BLT.
Yes.
That way they know exactly what that is. So again, that's the first two listeners who are going to email echobatix@gmail.com will get that introductory rate of $10 for the app. That's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
Promo code.
It's free.
It's free for them. Those two
Free for
special.
them.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Free promo
Yes.
code.
So instead of $10, it's free, which,
Perfect.
is a little bit
Love
lower
it.
entry
Absolutely.
point. Yeah.
And play with this app. I'd recommend anybody, even just a microwave, even if your microwave is labeled, just check it out because you might discover things that you didn't realize your appliances had or could do, or even just some new buttons. I remember, I'm going to keep referencing this, something I'd heard before. I remember you were talking about a microwave that had 40 something buttons on it, and somebody was just only using the 30-second button to heat their food up. And yeah, it was just, it worked for a while, but, it would have been nice if they had learned more of the features on that device. And sweet, I just made us a good segue into our next topic here on BLT, our Jonathan and I's personal favorite here. You know what it's time for, right?
The sandwich of the week.
All right. So it's freezing outside, at least here in Colorado. Now, Gary, where exactly are you currently?
I'm in Boston.
Okay. So is it chilly there yet?
It's rainy and a little bit chilly, but it's in the 40s, so it's not terrible.
Okay, so one of my favorite things to do is I'm a big soup and sandwich guy. I like to dip my sandwiches in my soups. So I'm going to add a caveat to this particular one. Do you have a sandwich that you like to dip in soup, and what soup are you pairing that with?
So if it's a dipping thing, this is different than other kinds of sandwich times.
It is.
So I got to say, one, I'll mention I'm lactose intolerant, and yet I still like grilled cheese. It's hard to beat grilled cheese.
Yep.
Hot gooey sandwich that you're dipping in soup. It's just so many. You got the fat, you got some salt, you got everything together. Hard to beat.
Love it.
Yeah. So, and it goes with so many soups too. Pretty much anything.
So what sandwich are you? Oh, you said grilled cheese. Now, what soup are you dipping it in?
Golly, I do like root vegetable soups a lot.
Oh, nice. Okay.
A big thing here at home, at least for me, would be like a butternut squash or pumpkin soups.
Yep.
Store-bought type stuff. So any of these sorts of things, and I dip all sorts of things in soup. It's bread, whatever I can get away with, whatever my wife doesn't, even if she does give me a look, I'll still dip something in it. Yeah.
I laugh because soups often become dips, in my opinion.
Yes.
Especially with bread. Evan, what do you got?
Well, I can't trace the name exactly. I don't think it's a Reuben. I love Reubens. I was going to say Reuben originally, but I'm looking for something that has like some good meat, preferably like chicken, roast beef, melty cheese, arugula. You dip that in French onion soup. Not a French dip though, because that's au jus. Yeah. But that's what I'm thinking. And they're nice. I remember like specifically a few years ago, I was at my dad's and they'd made these really good sandwiches. And I just can't remember what they were called, but that is my sandwich. It's a very fall, cold weather sandwich. You make some really hot, cheesy French onion French onion soup. Yep. I believe is, and then and then you make a nice hot, cheesy sandwich, and especially if you toast the bread just right, so it's super crispy and crumbly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like amazing.
Well, so in the spirit of, because this is the first day of November and Thanksgiving is coming up, my favorite sandwich right now is a classic turkey sandwich with some lettuce and some tomato. And then you dip that sucker in a nice steamy bowl of thick potato soup. It's like Thanksgiving in a sandwich and a soup. And it's just incredible. So it's a little cheat before Thanksgiving. And that's my soup. So man, Gary, it has been awesome having you on, and I would love to have you back on when you guys rolled out these new updates so you can kind of dive more into them. And again, if you want that promo code, you're going to email Gary, and then the email address is Echobatix, ECHOBATIX @gmail.com, and type in the subject line promo code BLT, and Gary will make sure that he gets those 2 free subscriptions to the first 2 listeners that email him. So that'll be awesome. Gary, anything else to add?
No, just wish everybody happy Halloween. Will be yesterday for them, I guess, and happy Thanksgiving coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
However they want their sandwich and soup.
There you go.
Indeed.
Oh, now I'm hungry and cold.
Yeah.
I need to go warm up. Evan, any final thoughts for you?
No, I need to go do the same. I'm going to go get myself a cup of coffee after this episode.
Amen. Yep.
Indeed.
I'm going to go throw my computer out the window because this has been a horrible, horrible event. So I'm going to go restart it and get all my stuff put together and get ready for next week's episode. So
it looks like you caught my laptop issues from a couple weeks ago.
I must have.
My laptop's contagious.
Who knew computer viruses were contagious?
They actually can be. They actually can be.
Well, with that in mind, thank you guys so much for joining us on this crazy wild edition of Blind Level Tech. If you have any questions, please send us some information or send us your questions at feedback at aincolorado.org. And then we also have Colorado Gives Day, which is coming up on December 5th. So make sure that you get your donations in early. And that goes to the 501c3s. And it just helps us produce a lot more stuff that you guys need to hear. And it helps us be able to minister to this community and be able to make sure that you guys are getting information that you need. So With all that being said, on behalf of Emma Starnes, the entire AINC staff and family, this is Blind Devil Tech. We'll talk to you later.
Don't forget to plug in your devices.